psychologist, he introduced me to the practice of mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, of being present to myself, being present to everything in the moment, like your life depended on it, right? That sense of urgency for where I am and what I'm feeling. And that was so powerful. However, what do we do in the moment when things are really heavy? That I realized like how heavy and dark and negative my internal dialogue and conversations were. And however healed my external form was, my internal dialogue when things were heavy were still very negative. And then we went through the practice of self-compassion, of being mindful of what it is that's happening, turning towards myself with kindness, and recognizing the common humanity, like remembering that we're not alone, that many people have gone through similar experiences of me. Many people are suffering and currently in this moment. And it gave me tools like holding my hands to my heart, recognizing that what I say to myself makes a difference with how I'm feeling. It can feed it and make it worse, or it can soften it and make it better. And it doesn't take it away, but I can be there for myself when I needed to, and say thank you to all those habits and that inner voice, and make amends to it. But it's again a process, and I'm really grateful to be a soft landing for myself.
Mm. I'd
Yeah.
love it if you share with us this, maybe a few minutes of guidance. What do you think of this? A
Mm.
few more moments of guidance of
Yeah.
something that maybe the listeners, there's something that they're having a challenge with, like being with, and this turning to this.
Yeah. Let's do that. I like to say like an inner inventory. Let's kind of check in with ourselves. So
Yeah.
wherever you are, find a seated position. And I would encourage you, if you can, to like uncross your legs and lower your seat if you need to, so that both of your feet are on the floor. And you can gaze down at a spot, like feel free to find a spot in front of you to look at, or if it feels okay, if it feels safe to close your eyes, please close your eyes. And for a moment, we're just kind of like closing the door on other things that were happening. We're to some degree creating like a little page break here and arriving consciously in our body in this moment. And just take a moment to observe your body. Just notice, maybe at first, just how it feels to be sitting as you are. Perhaps noticing if there are any areas you could consciously relax, maybe your shoulders, maybe your hips, maybe your jaw. And there's lots of different ways of noticing sensation in your body, but perhaps for today, just label in your mind sort of the location in your body in which you feel sensations. You're not even necessarily distinguishing the sensation. You're just, I feel something in my shoulders. Maybe you feel something in one side of your hip or your back, or just label the location of where you feel things. And notice now you could consider those sensations. Let's go a little step further. And if you can, describe to yourself the sensations you're feeling. So perhaps it's, I feel tension in my shoulders, or I feel heavier on my left hip. Maybe you feel cold in your hands and feet. Whatever you're noticing is fantastic. Try not to carry on with it or judge it, or just be like, that's interesting. Notice this area of my body and it seems to be like this. And of course, generally the louder sensations come forward first, but can you also notice the subtle areas? Can you notice in your mind the areas that feel soft and relaxed? You notice the areas of your body that feel warm. And then keep some space here and again, without carrying on, just notice your mind. And perhaps you're noticing your mind over analyzing the sensations, or maybe your mind has wandered a bit and you're noticing a problem that's coming back, or maybe the pace of your thoughts are busy or slow. Again, just how would you describe your mind right now to yourself? And as you notice these things about yourself, can you maybe literally say to yourself, well, that's interesting, or create some space within that context of this is interesting? And maybe noticing how the mind feeds certain sensations, or how sensations feed a certain thought or conversation. That's interesting. Maybe you're noticing it's familiar. Maybe you've felt these feelings before. Maybe you haven't noticed them in a while, or you've never noticed this at all. But again, that's interesting. And perhaps what you're noticing that's interesting is a certain direction everything is going. Maybe it all feels heavy and dark and negative. Or maybe it feels soft and light and joyful. Or maybe it's somewhere more gray in the middle. Again, that's interesting. And I would encourage you at this time, if it's leaning more towards the heavier, the darker, a little more gray, a little more black, can you soften your shoulders a little more? Can you say something to yourself that you would say to a loved one if you knew they were feeling this way? Maybe it's just an acknowledging the heaviness of this moment. Oh, sweetie, I know this is heavy right now. I know this pain in your back's been here for a really long time. I know when you notice your body, it reminds you of something else. What would you say to yourself? And maybe you're on the other side. Maybe you feel a sense of gratitude for this overwhelming sense of joy or this level of peace in your body. And can you just be in that a little longer? What a gift. Maybe it's a recognition of the work you've done. Well done. Your willingness to stay here, to be here. Wherever you are, may you continue to be the soft landing. May you remember that you're not alone, that I too am suffering and have suffered, and that we together can get through this. And it's not that we need to push it away or make it go away completely, but that we can be here. Isn't that interesting? Together, feeling. And I'm going to continue to hold myself, and I'm going to continue to hold you. When you feel ready, you can direct your attention to your breath and maybe take a few breaths. Of course, when it feels right, kind of flutter your eyes open and Just back to the light of the room. I feel like we could have gone on longer there.
Mm. It's hard to talk after that. What a beautiful guidance.
Thank you.
I can feel it in my body as you're guiding, and sensations and heat. I was realizing the room was warm that I'm in,
Mm,
and noticing sensations here and thoughts of, oh, I'm loving this, like commentary on this, what's happening. And this, what a beautiful way that you got me to directly experience, and the listeners, the range
mm,
of all of it is okay. It might be a moment of deep gratitude and joy, or feeling darkness, and anything in between.
mm,
Permission giving. Like I could feel this deep part of me just resting as I heard
mm,
resting. It's like it's okay. This beautiful way that you said it, saying to someone, "Oh, sweetie, it's okay." Like this, kind of internalizing that voice, and that can serve so many people. This way you're being with. So truly,
mm.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
this beautiful guidance, and um, thank you for who you are.
Aw,
Really.
thanks. It
Um,
hasn't been an easy journey. I wouldn't necessarily wish my journey on other people, but
no.
I'm grateful to be where I am today and to, continue to do the work.
Mm.
And yeah, thank you. I'm glad that went well. I often include a little more breath work and yeah, some ways in which we can perhaps continue to find those softer qualities. And so I hope that whoever is out there listening can, find the practices that continue to allow space in their lives and selves. And perhaps when journaling or reflecting or noticing, isn't that interesting? Could that offer some further space
Mm.
to be curious, kind curiosity, let's say?